Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have been seeing a therapist for over a year now, and I'm finally ready to talk about it. I tend to speak with a smile and I try to stay super positive, but that doesn't mean there aren't moments where I struggle with my feelings and struggle with the thoughts that come into my head. In those moments, I try to be more positive. I try to exercise often to exert a lot of energy, but talking about everything with my therapist has truly helped me. So here's what I've learned. Just like how we take care of our physical health, we should take care of our mental health too. So today I wanted to talk about something a little more serious, and I really wanted to speak from my heart. Not that I don't typically speak from my heart, but this is definitely very personal. But if this can help someone in some way, then I am all for it. So as the title suggests, I have been going to therapy for over a year now. It's actually been a year and a half. Wow, time is flying. And I know so many people would like to go to therapy or want to try therapy, so I hope that this video can help you answer questions as to whether or not you think therapy would be helpful for you. I'll also be sharing some of the questions that my therapist and I have talked about, but of course I am not a therapist, so please do not think that I am diagnosing anyone with anything, but this is just to get a taste of what therapy sessions can be like. I feel like the first question that usually pops into our minds when we hear that someone is going to therapy is, why are you going to therapy? Is something wrong with you? If you're a Christian, why are you going to therapy? Are you okay? And I think asking, are you okay, is always a nice question, but I want people to know that if you are given the opportunity to go to therapy, it really can help anyone and everyone. Everyone struggles in some way. This world is hard and we go through traumatic things, whether we know it or not. Childhood trauma, adolescent trauma, adult trauma, there are things in our lives that heavily impact us and have a way of triggering our emotions to a certain event. For example, financial things, relational things, all of that really affect me, but I wanted to make sure that I take care of myself in a healthy, balanced way. During my first session, I made sure that I found a Christian, female, Asian American therapist. I think having a therapist that you can connect with is so important. And the first thing I noticed about her was that my therapist writes a lot of notes. That tells me that she, one, is going to remember everything I say, and two, she really is trying to get to know me and understand what my life has been like. So during our first session, I imagined that I would be lying on the couch telling her my life story ever since I was 0 years old. But really, we ended up talking about what's happening now in my life. Then we moved backwards into my childhood, and then we moved forward into some of the worries and doubts that I have. I use the word anxiety a lot with her, and my therapist reminded me that anxiety actually is a blanket term, and there are underlying emotions that we feel that make us feel anxious and nervous. So yes, a lot of people say, well, I have anxiety, but ultimately there's something else rooted in that. And for me, anxiety really looks like when I feel like I'm not good enough, when I feel like I'm not important, and when I feel unloved, basically, is when I start to feel a little nervous. And so we focused on a time when I was angry, and she asked me, what do you do when you're angry? Like, what caused you to feel that way? She ended up talking to me about my pain cycle and how there are things in our lives where other people will do something, it'll trigger our pain cycle, and then we react pretty much the same way every time when we are in pain, and then the cycle continues. And I think just being able to realize it helps us to see, oh, okay, it's happening right now. Well, not right now. Right now I'm very happy. So ultimately with therapy, of course we want to talk through our feelings, but also we want to be able to have the tools to change and to grow and to know how to handle our emotions. Emotions are just emotions. It's how we feel. And it's very validating to hear that, how we feel is how we feel. But now when it comes to what we do have control over that. So then we talked about the 4 steps. So the first step is to identify how I feel, because Keep asking why. I feel angry because someone told me that they were going to do something and they didn't do it. So why does that make you angry? Because I wanted them to get it done and now I have to do it. Why does that make you angry? Because I relied on them and they disappointed me. Why does that upset you? Because I trusted them and I feel like they broke my trust. So it's this mistrust that's really the underlying reason why I am upset. that really helped me see that our emotions go so much deeper. Number 2 is to identify what do you normally do when you feel that way. It could be saying things you don't mean. It could be going into your room, closing the door, and not wanting to talk to anybody. Shutting down, shutting out people, running away. There are so many things that we do typically when we are upset. Step 3 is to identify your truths. What is the truth of the situation? If I act angry towards this person and I say things I don't mean, how is that going to affect our friendship, our relationship? In terms of moving forward, what's the truth of the situation? You know, is this person really someone you can't trust at all anymore? Or is it because they just forgot? Number 4 is, so what can we do differently? Instead of running away into our rooms and not wanting to talk to that person, what can we do differently? We can stay in the conversation and talk to them, as hard as it is when we are upset. That means taking a second, a breather, and saying, hold on, let me just process my thoughts, and then come back and talk to them. Let them know that. And that has been a very useful tool for me to be able to process my thoughts. Something else I've talked to my therapist about is rest. So I tend to be a workaholic. I like to work a lot. I feel like I'm never fully rested. Even though I get 8 hours of sleep every single night, I emotionally am just tired quite often, even though physically I can do so many things at 5 o'clock in the morning. She asked me, what does a day of rest look like to you? Probably doing nothing. And she said, what does nothing look like? And I said, probably watching TV, playing Animal Crossing. And then she reminded me, actually, that may not be rest, that may be avoidance. I might be just avoiding the work that I need to do, but it's not necessarily filling my cup. So we ended up talking about what fills my cup, what makes me feel like I'm resting. And ultimately, we then talked about, why do I feel like I have to accomplish all of these things? Something else that we've done is called brain spotting. So brain spotting is this study of the fact that our eyes tend to look in a certain direction when we are feeling a certain way or talking about a certain thing. We tend to fixate on a certain part of our vision. And so with brain spotting, my therapist tried to figure out which areas trigger, a certain emotion, and then we just let it all out. So I'll leave a study over here about brain spotting, which is very interesting. So I've talked about anxiety and depression and loneliness in one of my other videos, but trauma really impacts our emotional health. Everyone has been through things that are difficult and hard emotionally. Christian, non-Christian, we all go through hard things. Many times how we react and the walls that we put up is a result of traumatic things that have happened, especially in our childhood. And I've not only heard this from my therapist, but I actually went to a conference and we talked about childhood trauma and how much it affects our adulthood. And I will say that talking about your emotions is difficult. For someone to really press in and dig into why you are feeling the way that you are feeling, it's an uncomfortable feeling because you don't want to go back there. But it's necessary for us to be able to close that chapter and to let go and to say, yes, that was difficult, but it was actually the source of my strength. But ultimately, my therapist and I have talked about everything and anything, and I trust her enough to tell her all about my life. And because she's also a believer, we also mentioned God a lot in terms of my truths and what it means. I do believe that Jesus is enough, and I do believe that my trauma and things that I feel negatively about will be healed. But if you can be given tools to strengthen your heart and to strengthen your soul and emotional health, why not use it? So that's my stance on therapy and how much it has helped me. My therapist and I started meeting once a week, then we moved to bi-weekly, which is just every other week, and then now we do monthly because I have felt a little more at ease with all the tools that she has put under my belt, and so I just get to practice it on my own, and then we do monthly checkups just for me to keep her updated on my life and to talk about any new things that come up that make me feel kind of uncomfortable. A lot of therapists actually accept insurance, and so if you find a therapist that you feel is fitting and they accept your insurance, definitely go for that. But for me, it was really important for me to find a therapist that I could connect with and who could understand me on so many different levels. So I hope that helps you kind of figure out if therapy is for you or if you feel like it's necessary. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye!